Welcome everybody to Coriander Society Adventures. I'm tormented by gnomes. I will be your game master today. Joining me for today's episode, we've got Beatdown Boulevard and Pods of War. Beatdown, how are things going in your end of the world?
They're good. It's cold. I want that to stop. That is pretty much the key points, I think.
Pods, can we agree no comment?
Yeah, it's 68. I got shorts on, the window's open.
That was a comment. That was very specifically the exact comment I thought we just agreed to not make.
Yeah. Yeah, that's I guess we didn't agree.
we're just good to go today. I can clearly tell.
Oh, here I am outside, like maybe it's pool weather. Maybe I'll get back in the pool soon. You know, maybe that's coming around.
I was complaining it was too warm today.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
I guess I'm also on the comment instead of no comment team. My apologies.
Somehow I'll get by.
Yeah, we'll survive. Pods,
Exactly.
how you doing?
I'm doing good because I got this brand new monitor, and so like, y'all are so big.
Thank you, gassing us up already. I appreciate that.
In chat, I can see you. I see all
Oh
of
yeah. Matt is out today. Everybody send your well wishes in his direction, which means that somebody else is going to have to sponge the disadvantage. I don't know exactly how that's going to work.
Oh no.
But I'm sure we'll find a way.
Not me.
Nose goes. When we last left our heroes, it's Beatdown, sorry.
Huh?
We did nose goes for Matt's not here, so someone has to sponge the disadvantage, and you were the last one.
I didn't know that's what it's called.
Yep, well, that's okay. You learned a valuable lesson today.
I guess I did.
And chat's giving me the disadvantage anyways. All right.
Oh, perfect.
So a couple of notes for chat. We've already got a couple of acts of God in the queue from our coffee store. Thank you so much. Exclamation point coffee in the chat to see where you can find that. We have a couple of other ways set up right now. The tool I was using to show the little progress bar for Twitch subs is currently broken. But every 10 subs, we are still tracking it. We have a goal set up. So every 10 subs on Twitch will still trigger an act of God. And if you buy potions, if you donate directly or tip directly on our coffee store, that bar down there will also fill up. So you don't have to go in for the full act of God by yourself if you don't feel like it. You can chip in a little bit here and there. And if we hit the goal, we hit the goal, and an act of God goes off. So as always, thank you all of you for your awesome support. Spend your channel points, dunk us with advantage, disadvantage, treasures, and healing boosts. Let's get on with our adventure. When we last left 1-2 Punch and friends, they were in the spelljamming universe of PYRESPACE. They originally came here to fulfill a promise they made to Haura. That promise has been fulfilled. Haura, the sorceress, formerly John Carmichael's apprentice, but before that, she was the dragon, Acoficinian, native to this world they are currently on, Ashen. She wanted to travel back here in order to face some enemies from her past and reconnect with her dragon self, who was concealed by a false identity woven by John Carmichael and the elven dream mage Medwithin. Having now reconnected with her past, reconciled with her true self, and taken John's magic, and therefore forgiven him for creating that identity in the first place, Haura, aka Acoficinian, is restored to her original self. She can shift back and forth between her human and dragon form at will. But our hero's adventures in PYRESPACE are not over. For upon arrival, the curse of the Night Twist resurged. It's the curse of a tree, a haunted tree that John cut down on a previous adventure. He spread that curse to his friend Charlie from Northport to save Charlie's life from Ralzamon. Now with John's magic gone, he's even more vulnerable than ever. The Elven King Indogalad of the forest world of Perianth has charged our heroes and the crew of the Pilgrim's Progress with trapping and imprisoning a being with divine blood, the spark of godhood. One such horrible being dwells beneath the City of Spires, the Marruspawn Abomination. Our heroes need to somehow subdue and capture it. They've got the gear, they've got the allies, but they need to get all the way down to the bottom of the city, and it's inhabited by a massive army of Marruspawn, genetically engineered jackal-headed warriors who've been here for over 10,000 years, the last remnants of the technologically advanced civilization that came here from the world of Lacunas. In our last episode, Our heroes reached the City of Spires, and using what they learned from the time they spent on the world of Lacunas, they convinced one of the Marruspawn leaders, Vigilance, that they were the ancients, the progenitors themselves, finally returning. They learned, it was Asena's idea, they learned that a Marruspawn named Wisdom has been uniting all these warring factions of Marruspawn, telling them that if they purge the world of all non-Marruspawn sentient life, the ancients will return. The Marruspawn have been divided by those who heed Wisdom's message and those who don't. And when our heroes arrived and convinced Vigilance that they had the wisdom of the ancients, Vigilance turned against Wisdom and is now helping them out. But that's not going to be enough. To get to the bottom of the city and fight this godlike being, they can't fight their way through armies and armies of Marruspawn. So they've decided to split up. John is off working his no longer magic, but spreading the news amongst the Marruspawn, sowing the seeds of discord, trying to turn more of them against Wisdom. By fomenting internal unrest, he hopes to overthrow Wisdom's reign of terror, free the Marruspawn who operate under his authority so they can live whatever lives they choose instead, and open a path all the way down to the Marruspawn Abomination. Meanwhile, Gastone has been given access to the facility where Vigilance the Marruspawn brews zymes, these nasty organic compounds that activate latent abilities within the Marruspawn. Gastone hopes to reverse engineer these zymes to create a biological weapon that will help them weaken the abomination who lives down there. Haura has turned to Asena and said that she has one last thing that Haura wants to do on this planet. There is a dragon burial ground, a graveyard where dragons go to die. Haura's been there before, but now that she's reconnected with herself, she wants to visit there again, and she thinks that Asena should go with her, because that might shed some light on Asena's mysterious heritage. Did I miss anything?
No, I don't think so.
I totally forgot we did that.
What, the awesome thing that was your idea?
Yeah. That's why I laughed so much. I was like, oh yeah, that was great.
Yeah. You're the one who's like, well, why don't we, do some psyops here? All right.
I think that was it. That was a good summary.
Cool.
I still can't believe the plan to pretend we were gods worked.
I mean, you guys have the tech, You've actually been to where the gods live.
That's true.
And for the last 10,000 years, this whole culture has based themselves around the progenitors, the people originally from Lacunas. So it's a little more than right place, right time.
Mm-hmm.
Before proceeding on your separate missions, the team meets back on board the Spelljammer Pilgrim's Progress. There, it's time to divide up into your different groups. Gastone and John will both be staying in the City of Spires, but operating in different areas. Before we get to dividing up into groups, Captain Domnica wants a full report on what's going on and also wants to know how the two of you are doing. Not necessarily emotionally, but more in like a, do you need a long rest? Have you used a lot of resources sort of way?
I don't think I need a rest.
Neither do I.
We haven't done anything. Have
Plus,
we?
once you rest, don't you lose temporary hit points?
Correct. And John gave you that rousing speech earlier, right?
He sure did. That's 9 whole hit points that I'd very much like to hold on to.
Hey, you need those.
That's a
I
bullet,
do.
That'll soak for you. That's helpful.
Yeah, I'll take what I can get.
Okay. I don't know why chat is the way they are. I specifically did not lose nose goes, and yet they're dunking me with disadvantage. This is this is a violation of the social contract.
Chat is beyond the social construct of propriety.
All right. Here's what I want to do. I did a little math earlier, and after the team has some discussions, they want to split up into 3 groups. 4 people will go with each of you. So it's basically team draft at this point.
Oh my gosh.
You can choose who's going to accompany you. Now, Asena, you have to take Haura with you on this mission. So Haura is your automatic first pick for a variety of reasons, which means Gastone, you get second pick. There's a lot of characters in this crew, and I know that you've traveled with them through space for a few days, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you really are familiar with all of them, what they're like, what their motivation, their backstory, their childhood trauma, and perhaps more importantly, their specific skill set. So, Gastone, and also because John isn't here, we're literally just going to have you two pick, and then whoever you leave, he gets. So, who's your first pick, Gastone?
Oh, me. Okay.
Yes, sir. Asena's first pick is automatically Haura.
Oh. Okay, that makes sense. I thought it was like she gets Haura and a first pick.
Nope. I just think it's only fair.
No, fair. I'll take that. Wow, who would I want with me? I don't remember his name, but can you see me highlighting?
That is Boguk Cairnmelter, the dwarven storyteller.
Yes, I like that guy.
All right, he's with you.
Pog.
Asena, you get next pick. Who would you like to come with you? And again, you may not have had a chance to really talk to all these people just yet.
Yeah. I haven't really. I know who I don't want.
Are you saying who you don't want as you and Haura are sitting there?
Maybe I could whisper it to her.
Yeah, that's fine. Nobody else will hear.
And I'll blame it on her too. I think that we should not pick Boigness. He's gonna drive you crazy.
Haura does not disagree.
So we should pick someone who's gonna be helpful. But I don't know about Zomkug either, because it's kind of like he beat me in that arm wrestling thing. And I don't know. We don't need two strong peoples. I don't really know much about Lonnie.
Okay. Lonnie is the ship's pilot. She's a halfling. She's a wizard.
If I took her, then they won't be able to fly anywhere.
Well, they're going to have to fly the ship to our location anyway, so it's probably a good choice regardless.
You think she wants to go on an adventure?
Lonnie always thinks she's about to die. It doesn't really matter what she does to her. Secretly, though, she doesn't tell anyone. I think she likes the excitement.
I mean, that could be kind of fun if she's just freaking out the whole time.
It's less freaking out and more just being a real downer about everything.
Okay, I don't like that. I don't know. What about Nizar?
Nizar he's loud, he's a braggart, he's also a genie.
Genies are cool,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, he is the other person. Nizar and I, and Waith, actually, are the only natives to this world. Well, to a certain degree. Nizar isn't a native, but he spent many, many years here. He's very handy in a fight. He has some cool magical abilities.
Doesn't he have a girlfriend or something?
Yeah, the captain. The two of them are an item right now, but they have healthy attachment. I'm sure they can split up for a bit.
Okay. Yeah, Nizar, you want to come with us?
See? The Chronepsis Rift with my own eyes? A place that no Johnny has ever returned from? Of course I'll go with you.
Oh, cool.
And he just walks over before you even confirm or anything like that. Gastone, who do you want to pick next?
I can interact with them, right?
Absolutely, yeah. You have time. You can take a short rest. There's food. There's a little bit of rum being served. Like this is the whole thing.
Okay. I could just lie and say I understand all of you well enough to make a decision, but here's what I'm going to do instead. What number am I thinking of and why?
Lonnie says nothing. Waith says 2.
Why 2?
It's more than 1. Domnica looks over, thinks about it for a moment. Roll an insight check, Gastone. Okay. It's a little bit difficult to read her at the moment, but she says 375.
Why?
Because I don't want to spend time with a bunch of stinking, moldy, burbling stuff when I could be outside instead. 10 Kobold looks at you and says 17.
Why?
It's more likely to be somewhere in the target range than 300, whatever she said.
Okay, fair enough.
Molly says, give me a moment here. I actually have to do some quick maths. 8. That's how many celestial bodies are in our system.
Okay.
Lonnie says 13, because this entire operation is clearly doomed. Boigness goes with 7, because that's a lucky one. Zomkug looks over at Waith and says 3. I was going to go with 2, a drink in each hand, but he took it, so I'll have to balance the other one on my head.
Is that everyone?
Charlie forgot that he was supposed to say something, so he just sputters 5 off the top of his head.
Yeah, I'm not even going to ask why.
And Ben will say in his deep, deep voice, which I don't want to pull up at the moment, 4. The elements. Who got it?
That's tough. I honestly, it's partially for the novelty, and partially because I'm gonna pick the one who said 375.
Domnica,
Yes,
the captain of the ship, visibly just walks over. Looks over at John, who shrugs like, hey, he made the rules.
Yeah.
All right, Asena, it's your pick. Who do you want?
Ten Kobold.
He shrugs. Dragon Graveyard.
Are you not excited?
Could be interesting. He adjusts his little steampunk flamethrower in his backpack full of odds and ends that he scavenged from various spelljammers. Goes over his gear. Gastone, who you looking for?
Was it Molly who said 8 before?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll take Molly.
All right, Molly Lyklin, the Wayfinder. Asena, who's your last pick?
Oh, I got another one, huh?
Just one more pick for each of you.
I'm gonna make it look like I'm gonna choose Waith, or I'm looking at Waith so he can get excited.
What?
Roll a deception check, please.
Monster.
A 6.
Uh-oh.
A 4.
Damkug.
Yoinked. Waith looks at Haura despairingly. Gastone, who's your last pick?
You mean my guy Boigness Kimzamin?
Let's go. leaving John with Lonnie, Waith, Charlie, and Ben. That's going to be an interesting little crowd.
We screwed him over.
I mean, he knows Charlie, but I can't be that bad.
Yeah,
I'm sure Waith is fine.
I mean, Waith will be useful because he's going to be, infiltrating the Marru.
Yeah.
Yeah, I figured he wouldn't want to come with me because I'm trying to figure out how to kill them.
Plus, Lonnie's journeying with them, and now he has an actual wizard to travel with since he isn't one anymore.
Ouch.
He's not here. He can't say shit. All right. So what's going to happen first is you're going to disembark, Gastone. You and your crew. A half-elf, two humans, and two dwarves. One completely clean-shaven, the other with a magnificent braided beard. It's not braided. It's got little beads in it. And of course, his huge hat. So a lot of you are going to disembark here, and you're going to go with vigilance down into the depths of this spire through the teleporter to the laboratory where they have the vats of organic, rotting, fermenting matter that's forming the bacterial compounds of the zymes. And after that's done, the Spelljammer, the Pilgrim's Progress, is going to take off. It's going to drop off John and company, and then it's going to make its way over to the Chronepsis Rift, the dragon burial ground that can only be found by those who've been there before, which Haura has.
I gotta ask, how does that process start? Someone had to have been there before having been there, starting off this process.
The enchantment wasn't there in the first place.
It was an enchantment. Okay, that makes sense.
That being said, it was over 10,000 years ago. So the details are a little lost.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Haura's probably going to explain the whole thing to Asena while they're on their way. But let's give it the rundown of your crew real quick, Gastone. Domnica is the captain. She's a natural leader. She's not much for rules. She is frequently angry. And but the whole crew absolutely trusts her. The whole crew definitely trusts her. She's ambitious, energetic, and has a temper.
Wow, I'm not gonna lie. When you said she's angry all the time and paused, I thought you were done. I was like, oh, okay.
And that's all.
Yeah.
Boguk is a story keeper. He is a living repository of lore for his culture, and he's also collected a ton of stories about PYRESPACE and the various worlds within it. He always has a story or a little proverb or something to share about everything along the way.
That's cool.
He is.
God damn it.
Yep. What else? Molly is a half-elf. She's from Perianth. She's always feels most at home when she's moving someplace she's never been before. She, in some ways, is the heart of the team. She loves to explore. She's very friendly. She's very connected. And even when things get broken down, everyone relies on her to be calm. And Boignus, you already know about, but if you ask, he will tell you about himself again anyways.
Lovely.
All right. So they grab a few supplies and provisions from the ship. Is there anything that you need to grab or do before everyone says your goodbyes?
No.
Okay. Haura, does she have the send? Yes, Haura has the sending spell. So the team makes an agreement to make contact within 3 days. And if nobody's heard from each other within 3 days, rescue. You and your crew stand on the upper edge of that spire as a new terrible sandstorm starts to blow in. Everybody says their goodbyes. You can see the Pilgrim's Progress raise their anchor. Gravity takes over, fighting the magic of the Spelljammer. It bobs a bit midair, flies off to another part of the city as directed by Waith, and vanishes into the sand, leaving you and your team to enter the spire. I'm just going to go ahead and move us briefly to the planet Ashen so you can get... I don't know if I have this... Did I set up the scale? I did not set up the scale. So you are here at the City of Spires. Again, ignore the scale. And after dropping off John, you're going to be traveling closer to the equator to get to the Chronepsis Rift. And in order to avoid the sandstorms, the ship rises high up into the atmosphere, or even into like above the atmosphere, and then plummets back down. So it's going to be a couple of hours before you get there, Asena. Which means that I'm going to go ahead and let's see if I can do this right. There we go. There we go. I did it.
Woo!
We now
Yeah.
we now just have me and Beatdown on screen, which will not necessarily work correctly when I go back to the battle mat, but it does mean you can turn off your camera if you want until we come back to you. All right, cool. Am I in the right place? Yes, I'm in the right place. All right. Gastone, you are accompanied by Vigilance and your crew, who, again, bears this helix, this metal staff that's twisted like DNA, and wearing these desert-colored robes. And the whole cell of Marruspawn listen very carefully to whatever Vigilance has to say. You are led deeper into the spire, past several different defensive force fields. You can smell the stink of rot coming from nearby rooms. And as you go, I do need to make one tweak here. As you go, behind that whole chamber that was set up earlier for combat is a platform made out of some synthetic material. It's an advanced like plastic metal compound or transparent aluminum, something along those lines. And it is a piece of functioning technology, even though this place was cut off from Lacunas 10,000 years ago. Most of it is millennia old. Most of it is destroyed or rotted or even unrecognizable. And when you are guided by Vigilance to stand on the platform, which is wide enough for 4 people to stand on at once, or like one of the big Marru salts. And upon doing so, they access a nearby panel. You feel incredibly lightweight. You get some nausea, like a gravity jump. And when it ends, the room around you flashes, and you are no longer in that same space. You are now in a chamber comprised entirely of that synthetic metal compound all the way around you and illuminated by artificial lighting.
Is anything like where were we? Remember when we first got to Lacunas? We were in some weird box.
Yes.
Is anything like that?
Yeah, very, very similar, all things considered. Very, very similar. But just without the gigantic death robots all plotting to, trying to destroy you, which is nice.
Yeah, could definitely do without those.
All right, give me one moment here. I just need to make some adjustments behind the screen because I do have a map prepared for you. Vigilance explains that this is the heart of his cell. This is where he and his forces compose their zymes, gather their plans, protect their resources, so on and so forth. And let me see if vision is working. Yep, vision is working. And I am going to transport you and the chat to that scene. There we are.
Oh, cool.
I'm going to open the door behind you to let you see a little bit more of the lay of the land overall. Well, actually, why can't you? Oh, because there's no light back there. Yeah, there's just a passageway behind you, basically. I'll throw a small light down there just so you can see it. Boop.
Oh, cool.
There are 2 Marru salts guarding this area when you enter. There's this odd sense of pressure. Roll a perception or survival check, please.
You said survival or what?
Perception or survival.
Perception.
Oh
Oh my
That
god.
is a natural 1.
Yeah.
That is in fact a natural 1. You have inspiration if you feel like it. Your call.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll burn that inspiration from chat and give me a reroll, please. You're kidding me! That's incredible!
I need to go. Goodbye, everyone.
Today's episode of Coriander Society Adventures was brought to you in part by Natural Ones.
I hate it here.
Okay.
Well,
Then yeah, I have nothing to say to you about that. Except that the pathway that you walked through was scorched and burned. And as you enter into this chamber, there is a hole in the ground. You can tell that this isn't ancient tombs. This was sophisticated technology down here. But it's been inhabited by people without those same skills for possibly millennia. There is a hole in the ground in this direction that does not seem to be part of the room. It was not originally designed to be part of the room. And you can hear the faint rippling of water down that way. As Vigilance leads you into the laboratory, the Marrusalts guarding it both bow, and the Marrusalts who were accompanying you earlier return to their posts up above. Vigilance indicates for you to follow and is going to lead you directly to the Holy of Holies. Through this chamber. Domnica looks around, kind of sniffs. Boguk mutters to himself, "We are very, very deep underground right now." And Vigilance will lead you into this room down here. The furniture here is wrecked. The lights, the artificial lighting still works after all these centuries, these millennia. But whatever this console, these screens, etc., all that's long since destroyed, decayed, and useless. Whatever it was probably highly sophisticated, but it's gone now.
Just to make sure I'm remembering this correctly, Vigilance still thinks we're, gods and whatever, right?
Yes, Vigilance thinks that you are amongst the ancients, the ones who built this place, the Lacunians who came here 10,000 years ago.
Gotcha, just making sure. Okay. What? Oh, you're muted.
+1 XP, baby. You see a
Also,
door open.
I'm sorry. I had a really quick question.
No, you go.
As for, so what does the story end up being with the people that are with me for this sort of thing? Are they just part of the entourage?
Yes, the cover
just
story
kind of
is
expected.
you're one of the ancients. They are part of your entourage, essentially.
Great. So is there because I still want to keep up this whole thing where I don't talk to anybody. So is there a way I can just say hey, I told them beforehand that they need to speak for me?
Yeah, that's fine. You can have that set up in advance. You're a smart guy.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Just making sure.
None of them have the message spell or any telepathic capabilities. So
it's definitely just gonna be
yeah, that can do that. Do you want to designate one of them in particular as your speaker?
That's tough. As much as you know what? For the novelty, I'm gonna designate Boigness.
He flourishes. This is a perfect opportunity to be your
speaker,
your herald,
voice. Of course.
Your crier, naturally.
Right.
All right. Vigilance leads onward through this door to the west. The next room is dark and partially collapsed in the north. The ceiling has caved in, and tons of rubble and metal twisted and stone have collapsed into there. There appears to have been some technological equipment buried under there somewhere, but it would have to be excavated if you were to look at it, and who knows if it's even usable.
Oh, there's another door. Wow.
The doors don't seem to be... They used to be powered. They don't seem to be functional. They're like forced open, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And finally, Vigilance leads you into a very large chamber. It is illuminated all the way around a central core. There is a door here. This room seems to have been better preserved than many of the others. It's also been converted into a temple of sorts. Along the way, you can see different relics of the ancient Lacunians, pieces, bits and bobs, pieces of probably non-functional technology. It might be a toothbrush for all you know. Just things on pedestals set all the way around, various carved images of the Marruspawn themselves. Any technological relic that they can find and consider to be important or a link to the progenitors is here. There's also a large door, like I said, right here in the middle, but it is sealed. Vigilance bows before it, before leading you around to the north in this direction. Here you will find the equipment all set up for you. It's been scavenged, and it's a mixture of advanced, sophisticated tools, probes, chemical compounds, and also some stuff that you've seen lying around in wizard laboratories, alchemical beakers and potions and ancient texts and scrolls. It's a weird mishmash of ancient, magical, and highly sophisticated equipment. There is a foul smell emanating from around the corner, and a cloying, stinking smoke rising up, which Vigilance will indicate to you in this direction are the Zymes themselves, stewing in vats.
Oh, I see. Okay. So what would I need? I have some Zymes on my person already, right?
Mm-hmm. You do, but now you have access to a lot more sample material.
Mm-hmm. So these are these like raw materials?
Yes, these are the Zymes themselves in the process of being created.
Gotcha.
And Vigilance explains to you that the way these work is they are biologically brewed, fermented, and they activate latent abilities that are essentially already in the Marruspawn's genetic code. Because the Marru, depending on how they are born and how they're treated when they're born, they can essentially evolve either into the little lurks, the big Marru salts, or the highly intelligent, magically capable Marru Tats. They're all different manifestations, or what's the word I'm looking for? Expressions of the same underlying genetic code. And there are some aspects which are coded in, but latent until activated by one of these Zymes, which is why they only normally work on Marruspawn themselves. Because it's not something that will give anybody a huge jaw, it's something that triggers latent DNA in a specific creature to grow the jaw temporarily, which is not how science works, but we're going with it anyways. So, that's the rough explanation of how these things work. And the fact that that's how they work, and the fact that they act on Marruspawn DNA, makes them a perfect vector if you can figure out how to manipulate them properly.
So I guess everything I need would be here to just get started?
Yes. They warn you, however, not to wander from the areas that have been... Actually, who are they to speak such to the ancients?
I was gonna say.
They warn your minions not to wander outside the areas. And they actually... They're going to try to, like, ask without asking. But the southern reaches of this compound are sealed off and barred by the rending room.
The what? I'm gonna whisper to Boignus, asking Sealed by whom and why?
We presume by your works and your decree, but now that you're here, you would be able to open the way. The rending room has barred entry to all, but perhaps if you speak with the Shining One, they will recognize your authority. There is great power and untapped treasures of yours that you left behind here to await your coming, and it's all yours, we presume, because surely you can bypass the rending room.
I'm gonna whisper back to Boigness, something to the tune of, "You may be surprised with what's in there, but at the moment, we'll take this one step at a time. First, the Zymes."
Yes, of course, we would never detract from your work. But should you wish to enter the Holy of Holies and speak with the Shining One or approach the rending room, but let us know while we maybe observe your work and learn from it.
Just gonna nod and start walking towards the vats.
All right. Eager and excited are they to embark upon this adventure to observe all the chaos that's about to be unleashed. Speaking of unleashing chaos,
Behold, an act of God.
Oh boy.
Windfall. Doing good is its own reward, but money is pretty neat too. Immediately gain a treasure of level 1. Okay.
Ooh.
So there is, you can either have just like actual gold, valuable shit that you can carry with you elsewhere, or we can just call that the raw resources and materials you need to build an extra dose of something, like some more building materials down here. Do you have a preference?
Building with anything. So if I wanted to make something,
Well, it's rank 1, so if you say I want, a ton of thorium or plutonium, I'm going to say no. But within reason, yes.
okay. Can I bank that for the moment?
Yeah, go ahead, write that down somewhere.
Yeah, let me do that. Oops. So I'll say something like building materials level 1.
Mm-hmm. Your crafting materials level 1.
Generic crafting materials level 1. Oh. All right, cool. So I guess at this point I would just kind of try and get started here. Because what I want to do is basically the way these things work in general, awakening powers that technically exist latent in their DNA, something or other. I wanted to do the opposite thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, I guess at least the way I think of it in my head, let's say, because you said, for example, what did you call those? The Marru salts, the big ones?
Yes.
So they're the ones that become, big, strong, whatnot, and that's what the Zyme will do for them, right?
Some of the Zymes will do that.
Yeah. So then I want one that will kind of go for that sort of thing, but do the opposite, where it will make you weak.
Okay. In order to understand that, you need to understand more about Marru physiology. So you might need to collect some of their DNA. I don't know if you have time to sequence their entire genome, especially since that hasn't really been the focus of your tech in the past.
Mm-hmm.
But you will need to analyze them, analyze their physiology, analyze how exactly do these organic compounds interact with them, so I can understand that process, so then I can reverse engineer that process. So you're going to need samples of Marru spawn genetic material, just spit, blood, anything will work for test material. You're going to need the different Zymes, because they've got 5 different pots of Zymes down there, each with their own effects. And some time to sort of tweak around with them and see what goes on.
Okay, so I'm going to approach Vigilance I'm going to walk up to Vigilance, but I'm going to whisper to Boigness saying, I require samples, DNA from any Marru that you guys have. Something along those lines.
All right.
Spit, blood, hair. If you guys have that, whatever.
The mighty progenitors demand a sacrifice.
I'm gonna whisper back to Boignus. It's not that serious. I just need a little.
A pound of flesh.
Sure.
All right. They're gonna grab one of the Marru lurks and be like, "Hey, congratulations! You get to meet your god. Do whatever you want to this thing. We're gonna stop. We're gonna watch and take notes."
Oh, okay. Well, okay. I'm gonna just. So, do I? I guess do they have that kind of stuff, like swabs and
Yeah.
stuff, vial? Okay.
It's
So
not
I'm just
all
gonna.
exactly what you're looking for, but again, one of the things that happened last time was you got a portable lab as either a treasure or an active god card. So this is a
That's
well stacked.
true.
I'm giving that to you here and now. This is well stocked. You've got lots of gear.
Great. So I'm definitely gonna get one of those swabs in his mouth, around stuff like that. Get it nice and DNA'd up. Put it in a little vial. I am gonna. Do they have blood? Does that work? I'm gonna try.
Yeah, they have blood.
Okay, great. So I'm gonna also. I assume my kid has like a syringe of some kind. I'm just gonna go ahead and nice yoink some of his blood as well. What about hair? Is that a thing?
They have hair.
Oh, cool.
Not a lot of it.
Take as little as I can.
Okay. Doink.
And this is just one kind, right?
Yeah, this is the small version. The Marru lurk is who they offered you first. But
Okay.
they're all from the same. They're all like the same species. They just evolve differently based on the needs of the cell. So they all contain the same genetic code. It's just activated or deactivated.
Oh, okay. And the Zyme just turns. They all start the same, but depends on the Zyme, and that's what they end up.
The Zyme is something they can use in the field to temporarily power up, but it's based on the same things that they apply to cause them to evolve into one or the other based on the needs of the cell.
Oh, okay. Okay, then I guess I got all that I need. And then I'll just shoo him away.
Be gone! Roll for me a medicine check, please, with disadvantage because of chat.
Yeah. Medicine.
And Boguk Cairnmelter casts guidance on you. Add 1d4, please. Six. All right. So this first phase, you're having some trouble. It's the unfamiliarity of the equipment, the bizarreness of their odd physiology. There's a couple of different things going on with that. But the long and the short of it is it's making it a little bit difficult to get a clean sample, which is you've got access to more samples. What's key here is time. You don't know how much time you're going to have. Obviously, you have 3 days, but with every passing day, the curse hits John and Charlie harder. And, who knows what's going on with everybody else. So while you are taking care of that, let's go ahead and check in on Asena in just a moment, if I can do this properly.
What are we doing?
Okay, there. Okay, sweet. I almost had it. Not quite, but I almost had it. All right. Asena, meanwhile, you and Haura and the rest of your party are traveling together across
into
the
darkness.
desert, up back into space, and then descending down. You've already said your goodbyes. You've dropped off John. Obviously, first you left Gastone with his crew. John and his crew departed to a different part of the city where they're going to start trying to work with the various Marruspawn factions. But a lot of you are approaching the Chronepsis Rift. Is there anything that Asena wants to do or talk with her particular crew, including Haura, while you are in transit?
I'll talk with Haura. So why are we going here?
The Chronepsis Rift is where dragons have gone to die on Ashing.
I don't want to die.
We're not planning on dying.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you.
That's a fair question. Dragons have gone there to die for millennia, since before the Lacunians came here 10,000 years ago. I need to do this to... It's just something that I need to do now that I'm me again. It's an assertion of dragonness, getting in touch with like the place that you're from or the place you're going to go eventually. But it's going to be dangerous.
What do you mean?
When a dragon dies, they leave behind a part of their own power, part of their own spirit. And some of that is the elemental force that surges within them. The lightning that I can breathe, it's a part of me. And when I eventually die, I'm going to leave a part of it behind.
In what?
Well, if I die here, in the graveyard.
So there's still a little bit of these dragons left.
Yes, and lots and lots and lots of dragons have died here over the years. Which means that little bit of lightning, that little bit of fire has built up over 10,000 years. And that raw power is still roiling through the graveyard. Every few hours, it builds up like a teapot, and it just pours over the entire graveyard. So when we get there, we have to wait until one of these storms hits. When it passes, we'll have maybe an hour, maybe more, to speak with the Guardians.
And the Guardians are guards.
The oldest spirits of the dragons, the first dragons who died there. There are two of them. Because there's more dragons on this world than just my people. There's also brass dragons. And as much as we didn't get along, this is their home too. Guardian spirits are older maybe than any other life on this world.
Whoa.
Which is why I'm hoping that their memories extend far enough back to tell us about that. And she points at the dragon fang around your neck.
What if they take it away?
Well, we won't let them.
No. That'll be pretty easy. Fighting the oldest dragons that ever lived. Made out of brass.
The last time we were here, they helped us. John needed to find the City of Spires, where we just were. And they are old enough that they remembered where it was. And he left one of the pieces of the flesh of Kur here as well. Asked them to protect it.
So they like you.
They did last time. We didn't come there to steal from them. We didn't come there to desecrate their burial ground. So hopefully we can talk our way back in.
So we'll just make it clear we're not here for any trouble. We just wanted to come visit you.
Exactly. So we'll pull up alongside it, wait for a storm to rush over it. As soon as the storm passes through, we run down there, get to the center of it, talk to the Guardians, see if they know anything about that dragon fang, who that dragon is, what that means about you. And then, once we've all had our words, we leave. Shouldn't be too difficult.
Cool. I like it.
And if we run into any trouble, you picked the swordsman and the brute and the gnome for some reason, but that's fine.
Well, it was the best of what was left.
All right. Any other questions before we go there?
I think I'm ready.
All right.
Get in, get out. 1 hour.
You descend back into the planet. You can feel the gravity pulling against you. You can feel the atmosphere rushing past you. It goes from... And the heat is pretty strong even outside the atmosphere because you are very close to the pyre. That sun is bigger and brighter than you've ever seen it before because you're physically, literally closer to it than you've ever been in the past. So, as you begin your descent once again, everybody gets wrapped up in scarves. They're wearing goggles to keep the sand out of their eyes. And they're kind of excited because they flew here once before. They even took Haura with them last time they were here. She's the one who showed them the way. You descend and you find in the middle of a series of rocks jutting out of the sandy surface of Ashen, there's this hidden cleft between them. And for hours, the ship flies around, watching and waiting. And I would like you, please, to roll 1d6 for me.
It's a 2.
It's a 2. Okay. And roll 1d4 next.
Alrighty. 2d4, 1d4, 3.
3. Okay. After 3 hours of waiting,
Wow.
Tenkoble, the gnome, who's been watching from the deck of the ship along with all the other deckhands, he points wordlessly. And as you look down, fire erupts from the cleft in the rocks, spreading this brassy, bright fire, rolling across the air above the dragon graveyard, which you haven't even properly seen yet. The heat, you can feel the heat even from hundreds of feet away. Everything inside the entire dragon graveyard takes, which does not include you, 49 points of fire damage.
Whoa.
And once that clears, Haura gives the command and the ship dives in, pulling to a safe distance. You can still see the heat shimmering off the desert surface. They pull down, they lower the anchor. We don't know how long we have. It could be 4 hours, it could be 1 hour, but we need to make this fast, one way or another. And you set down on the edges of the Chronepsis Rift. Which is taking its sweet. There we go. There we go. And I'm just going to change the scale on this real quick, but you should be able to see it just fine.
Oh my gosh. There's a lot here.
Mm-hmm.
This is huge.
Yep. And
Dragons are huge.
yeah. Look at the bones! And amongst
Many
the
bones.
bones of these massive dragons, some of them are moving.
The bones are moving?
Yes. Roll a perception check, please, Asena. Haura is going to lead the party to this outcropping right here. Natural 20. Holy heck. Do you have any disadvantage in the tank? You do not. Okay. You can see everything perfectly. You beat Haura here as a lot of you crawl over this. You can see skeletal dragons, not very large, crawling out of the dirt and just sort of shuffling through. With a natural 20, you can also see this. You thought when you were looking down at the sand that it was shimmering with the heat, the residual heat from that firestorm, right?
Yeah.
That's not it. That's gold. That's
Ooh.
all gold. Mixed in with the sand is an asinine amount of treasure, just scattered amongst the bones.
That makes sense.
You got a natural 20, so I'm not going to deny this to you. You also notice an odd breeze blowing nearby. From here, the air in that area shimmers, charged with electricity, an elemental vortex here in the Chronepsis Rift.
Oh. Can I tell everyone?
Mm-hmm.
I know it's gonna be really hard, but I think it's best if we don't take any gold.
Every single one of them, except for Haura, look at you in absolute disbelief. Roll a persuasion check, please.
Oh gosh.
15. All right. Ooh.
I know, it's hard, but like, I don't want any of these dragons. I want them to be my friends. Friendly Dargans.
Zomkug says, that's fuck you money. That's I don't work for the king anymore money. That's buy an asteroid and live like a king yourself money down there.
Sure, but you think you're gonna get out alive?
He looks over at Tenkobel. He looks at Nizar. They all kind of shrug.
Okay. We can come back. Just not now.
All right, you're leading this one. Just it's better to get screwed but still get paid than never get paid at all. And the bigger the screw, the bigger the paycheck. Haura glowers at everybody and looks out at everything. She also notices that vortex nearby. She says, the boundary between the material world and the elemental planes is very thin right over there. We need to be careful.
Is that where we're supposed to go, or where we're not supposed to go?
I think we can find them if we make our way to the center. You see that gigantic skeleton, those two massive skeletons?
Yeah.
Those are the bones of the two guardians. We can get somewhere between them. We ought to be able to communicate. But if we pass through that rift, who knows what could happen? And we've got multiple groups of the restless dead. That happens sometimes in a dragon graveyard. There's no spirit there. It's just antsiness. Too much energy. Like restless leg syndrome, except you're so restless that your bones keep moving after you're dead, but you don't even notice.
Huh. Okay. So,
It is
should we jump?
to get down is, let's see, 10, 20, 30. It's 40 feet from where you are down into the floor.
Asena's just assuming that everybody can jump like her.
All right, so you're just going to go ahead and jump using your pugilist abilities to just make it look really cool and land no problem?
Yeah.
All right. Go ahead and put yourself down in the pit.
Okay.
Shwa!
Maybe I landed right here. Not so close to that rift.
The ground clinks with gold and gems underneath you as you land. And facing this rift, even though it's invisible, it doesn't actually look like that. It's just a weird swirling pattern in the air. Even though it's invisible, you can still feel this electric charge off of it, like Haura when she's really, really angry.
Oh.
But it's not doing anything else at the moment. Okay.
I'll tell. Can I tell her? That feels like you.
You can't. Are you doing that telepathically, or are you yelling up at her?
It's probably better to do it telepathically.
All right. You transmit that over. Nizar runs and jumps. He just runs out into the middle of the air off the promontory. And as he's about to hit, and his legs like flailing in the air, and as he's about to hit the ground, he crosses his arms across his chest in the classic genie pose and floats down the rest of the way.
That's pretty cool.
He lands next
That's
to
a
you.
good move.
dusts himself off. Not too bad yourself, young lady. Zomkug has a rope. And so he and Ten Koval are just going to take some time. Dunk, 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 dunk. As for Haura, she is going to also jump off. And then right before she hits the ground, she casts Detect Magic. And as part of her newfound powers that she got from absorbing a lot of John's magic, her Storm Sorcery has awakened. So as she casts that spell, she can fly temporarily. And so storm clouds surround her, and she also pulls off a cool landing. So the 3 magical beings land, and the 2 spacers just sort of climb a rope down. It takes them a couple of minutes to make their way, because they have to secure the rope. They have to make their way down. They're going to leave the rope there, tied down, so that's their escape, if need be.
Smart.
It's very dark here. Very, very dark. Oddly cold in its own way. Roll a perception check or a survival check, please, Asena.
Okay.
A dirty 20. All right. It gets colder this way. Colder and darker and almost slimy. It's this murky, deep chill that you don't particularly like.
Yeah. Maybe we don't go that way. Doesn't
Alright.
feel good.
Then what's the plan to get around these bone dragons?
Do we have to get around them?
I mean, we need to get to the middle. What path do you want to take?
Is it bad if we just climb over them?
They might try to eat us. They have little pieces of dragon memories, which involve not letting people in their territory. Now, the actual dead bones in front of you, not a problem. We can make our way through that. I'm talking about the ones that are moving around. She points off in that direction instead of these rib cages in front of you.
Oh.
Yeah, those are the ones that present more of a problem.
Well, let's just make sure we stay away from those.
All right. Do you just want to give them a wide berth, or do you want to try to stealth past them?
Yeah, I'm thinking... Hold on, how can you... I'm thinking we head straight sort of this way.
And around the rock?
Yeah. Once we get to the rock, then head up like that.
Okay.
So hopefully the rock can shield us.
All right.
And going diagonally will not be too close to the weird wind.
Okay. That is going to make you close enough that they'll be able to hear you. So you will need to roll stealth to a certain point.
Okay.
So why don't you go ahead and roll a stealth check for yourself?
Oh,
That
God.
is a natural 1. You have inspiration from chat this time around. Would you like to use it?
Yes, please.
Okay, roll again, please.
That's better.
A 16. All right, go ahead and move yourself over to the rock. Nizar turns invisible
Whoa.
because he's a genie.
You know, you could have like done that with me.
Oh, sorry, it doesn't work on mere mortals.
Hey.
And with advantage, he's going to stealth his way over there. You can... What's your passive perception, Asena?
I don't know.
All right. It is on your character sheet. It's near your skills.
Like the number next to it?
It's below your skills. There's a number that specifically says passive perception.
Oh, passive wisdom perception.
Yeah, passive
16.
wisdom perception. All right. You almost noticed him, but he is still super sneaky. He got a 19. So even you don't know where he is. But he whispers when he's standing right here. Boo.
Oh, flinch. She flinches a little bit.
He chuckles to himself under his own breath. All right.
You're pretty good at that.
He's made a career of, well, he used to live here, walking his way through the sand without rhythm to avoid attracting the ancient worms. 10 Kobold is just going to give it the old-fashioned try. A 16. That's good enough to cross the rock. And if you're behind the rock, you won't have to roll more checks until you make your next crossing. Zomkug, stealth, not exactly his specialty.
Yeah,
But
I can see why.
this is a group stealth check, so as long as he doesn't roll a natural 1, it might increase their alertness level, but it's not going to be an automatic, sorry, the fighter failed, so you're caught. A 9. All right, he didn't do the best job, but the rest of the team is keeping it together. And now for Haura. Haura's specialty is not, in fact, stealth.
Well,
But she's going to try anyways.
at least she is a Dargan.
She is a Dargan. All right. So they didn't notice you, but they sort of started tilting up their heads and coming over here to investigate as if they think there might be something going on.
Okay.
All right. So if we do anything here, we will attract their attention, but you are still in stealth. You are getting closer and closer to the center of the Cronepsis Rift. How would you like to make your way next? Also, be advised there are more bone dragons here and here.
Yeah. Okay, so I think we should head up this way, sort of around this talon right here.
Okay.
Maybe right here. Is that a spine?
That's a spine. It's a spine that's 20 feet long.
Is that close enough to talk to them, or do we have to be in the
Maybe.
middle of the two?
It's not a sure thing. Hopefully that's close enough.
Okay,
You want to go for it?
let's go for that spine.
Okay. A lot of you break cover. Nizar moves on invisibly. Why don't you give me a stealth check yourself? Natural 20. All right. Excellent.
Ninja.
Excellent.
Should be like dark and ninjas.
Well, you can see now you're almost surrounded by these creatures. There's a group here, a group here, a group here, and a group here. But they're only the semblances, the bone echoes of dragons. And as such, they have yet to properly notice you. So, you've made your way towards the center of the area. Please roll 1d4 for me.
Which one's the good one?
You don't want a 1.
Two.
Okay. Excellent. Excellent. All right. Haura steps forward, away from the rest of the party, closes her eyes, and begins to change.
She's doing something. She's doing something cool.
And she emerges from her human form and takes on the appearance of a blue dragon, spreading her wings and the shadow over the Cronepsis Rift. And at that exact moment,
Behold, an
Oh,
act
no.
of God.
It's a good
we're
one, right?
being watched. I got a bad feeling about this.
Oh no.
Somebody is watching the party. I
How
have
could they?
the exact perfect thing to set off here. As this is
God.
going on, Ten Kobold looks down
No,
and notices
no.
just an enormous gemstone. It's
Damn it.
huge. Roll a perception check for me, please, Asena. 22. That's really lucky, because you know what the problem is? I don't think you did this on purpose. You didn't bring along any of the voice of reason characters. You brought along the pyromaniac gnome scavenger, the philosophical war machine who is very thoughtful but also just wants to get paid, and the boastful genie who will take on any challenge to prove his honor. Like, nobody here is going to be the voice of reason except for you, Asena. You see him see the gem, and you know what? We got to do this. It's lying in the eye socket. It's not like forced in the eye socket, but it's like just underneath the eye socket of a dragon's skull. You see him see it. You see the gleam in his eye. As Haura is shapeshifting into a dragon and starting to speak into the air in the draconic tongue, you notice Ten Kobold just like doing the sweaty, vein popping thing as he looks at that stone. What do you do?
Oh my god. I'm gonna mutter under my breath that I should have brought Lonnie.
Is that it?
No. I'm gonna step towards him. He's on my left.
Yeah, he's right next to you.
I am going to swiftly place him in a chokehold.
Oh. Oh. Okay. Roll an athletics check, please. He tries to wiggle out of your grasp. With disadvantage because of chat, so I'm going to roll again and take the worst of the two. All right, he takes the 12. You have him in a chokehold. What do you do after you get him in a chokehold?
What did I tell you about the treasure? Are you trying to make us die? Because I could kill you right now.
Roll an intimidation check, please. $12. All right. He looks at you. This gnome that you've got grappled. He looks straight up at you into your eyes, twisting around in your grasp. He says nothing. Roll an insight check, please.
Oh gosh.
10 Kobold will remember this. Forever.
Oh no. I will make my grip a little bit harder before I let go slowly.
Uh-huh. Okay. He steps away, rubs his trachea a little bit, and continues to stare directly at you. Now, I would like you to roll 1d20 for me, please.
Seven. That's a lucky number.
Okay. In response to Haura shapeshifting and speaking, and you can feel the words almost like they're scratching at the back of your head. Like you don't understand the language of Draconic, right?
Right.
But it's like the words are somehow burrowing their way. You're almost getting the impression she's declaring herself. This is her name. These are her ancestors. She belongs here, and someday her bones will return here, and she seeks to speak to the Guardians. And yet, that which responds is not the Guardians. For as the act of God has decided, you are being watched, and another power has been planted here. As the bones rise, now surrounded by an unearthly nimbus of light on either side of you, with a terrible screeching roar, they emerge from the ground, surrounded in such a way that cannot help but betray their undead origins. These are not mere bone-shambling beasts awakened by the restless energy. These are corrupt. These are born of an evil force that has taken its root here. And as they emerge and roar their defiance at you, we're going to go ahead and check in with our boy Gastone. I pressed a very bad button. We'll be back in a moment. Okay. The bad button that I pressed is no longer pressed. All right. Sweet. We're back. Disregard everything. Don't worry about that. Ignore me. Gastone, buddy, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. What's up? Some science, chemistry, that cool, fun stuff. High school.
Play one of those licensed tracks that they play during CSI when they're all back in the lab and they're calculating things and doing science stuff.
Respected gnomes. Haven't heard of people getting DMCA'd lately and immediately playing with fire.
You gotta go with, oh dear.
Oh
dear. Okay. So the first round of testing didn't go super great because you were still getting used to the equipment. You've collected your samples from the Marruspawn, from the Marru lurks specifically. What is the next thing that you would do in your scientific studies?
So you're saying I have samples and the first round of tests have gone through?
No, you've collected samples from the Marru salts, but you haven't done anything with the Zymes yet. So what are you going to do with the Zymes?
So I think I want to first, I'm not going to do anything with the samples yet, because what I want to do is actually look at the Zymes on like the individual level and understand how they are, I don't know, for lack of a better term, communicating with the Marruspawn DNA. And then the idea would be to introduce other elements while making the Zyme so that it can it can still have that sort of proverbial conversation, but it will be a different conversation.
Right. So you've got 5 different types of Zymes all boiling here. Fermenting, not boiling, actually. They're in huge vats. Some of them seem to be like taken from metal containers that were salvaged down here, and then ceramic was placed inside because it's more neutral, if you will, less likely to get eaten away. What tools, equipment, or tests are you using to better understand the Zymes themselves? You don't have to be super scientifically specific here, but just like give me a.
That's great.
How would you narrate this from a montage? What would it look like?
It would definitely look like me taking samples. Okay, now that I have Marruspawn samples, I would take samples from each vat to get an idea of how they all work and interact with Marruspawn DNA, right? And then once I get an idea of what that looks like, I really hope that my, my handy dandy scientific biology kit would have something, or chemistry kit rather, would have something along the lines of allowing me to get a. You know what I'm actually going to do too? I would like to use those generic materials.
Okay, what are you cashing that in for?
I would like to upgrade my scanner.
Ooh, okay. There's some old-fashioned, and I will say another thing. If any remnants of the Lacunian technology down here is in any way salvageable, that could be a great boon to you. Because remember, it's 10,000 years old,
Mm.
but this is stuff from the height of their development. They were an interdimensional, and at this point, just barely an interdimensional civilization. And yeah, Lacunas in the current day is fairly sophisticated, but there could be things here that are incredibly useful. So if you do a little snooping around, a little scavenging down here, you could find some good stuff. That being said, you do have some equipment down here to upgrade your scanner. Is there any specific type of upgrade that you're looking to make?
Just to increase its more refine it so that it can better differentiate between things on the more molecular level as opposed to this is this is that.
Now, wasn't it originally an energy scanner?
Something along those lines, yes.
Okay, so you want to upgrade it so that it can differentiate between not just energy wavelengths, but like physical substances as well, right?
Yeah, have a little. If you guys ever watched Martin Mystery, where he gets a little thing, puts it in the tube, puts the tube in the little device, and it will tell you stuff about it.
Okay, sweet. Yeah, we'll do that.
Very cool.
So roll a science check with advantage because you now are surrounded by the proper equipment.
Nice.
And also,
wait, I think I still have a disadvantage.
With disadvantage. So roll a flat check, please.
Okay. Science.
I am a scientist. And you brought Mr. Cairnmelter with you. He hits you with guidance.
Ah, cool.
Roll 1d4. Okay. A 13 total. Again, this is difficult going, but I am going to run you through the different zymes and a little bit of how they interact. This one right here is a rage zyme. These are all organic compounds, right? They take various like meat, plants, fungus, things that rot, things that ferment, and specific like yeast cultures. It's almost like brewing in a way, except really gnarly because no alcohol gets created. It's not microbes consuming sugars to create alcohol as a waste product. It's microbes consuming different like types of meat and chemicals and things that it's fed, and they produce enzymes, which are the things that break down organic matter so you can eat it, right? And react with it. They produce certain enzymes, and then they're scooped up and harvested before those enzymes can decay. So depending on what they feed the vat, what bacteria is in there, at what point they pull it out, and whether they like cook it at all, they can get these different zymes out of the process. So the first one is a rage zyme. Those bacteria create a compound that interacts with essentially the pituitary gland in the Marruspawn to trigger an incredible burst of anger, like a massive adrenaline surge, so that they go into a berserker rage, like Zomkug goes into a rage, like a barbarian would go into a rage, except any Marruspawn can use it. So that one activates on their like endocrine system. The second one is a bite zyme, and that literally causes muscles in their jaws to temporarily like surge out and grow. So it modifies targeted, modified muscle growth. And it only works that way because they have this latent muscle tissue that can surge upon demand. Third one is a speed zyme, hyperaccelerates the nervous system and the respiratory system and the musculature so that they can pump, neurotransmitters can fire a lot faster, they can get blood and oxygen to the legs way faster and carry away waste products longer. There's the supercharged zyme that gives them increased combat ability. That is it's kind of a mixture of all of these in a way. It's extremely complicated, but it almost slows down the perception of time at the same time. And the last one is a healing zyme that is designed to just hypercharge their body's self-repair systems, activate latent regenerative capabilities that they all possess. Does that help?
I think so, because what did the last one do again?
The last one was healing. It activates latent regenerative capabilities within them that knits back together muscle tissue, increases clotting, releases more energy into the body.
Okay. I think that's the one I want to work with first,
Mhm.
just because, well, the opposite of healing and regeneration is a decay and entropy, which I think would serve our purposes just fine.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess the first thing I'd want to do with that is, I think first, would I be able to, with like, the setup that I have, be able to use some of the samples I got from the lurgs?
The
And
lurker? Yeah, the lurker.
Lurker, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And see like actually watch the process and what it does,
Mm-hmm.
and get a better understanding of what like those enzymes actually do.
Mhm.
Because then after doing that and finding out how they make this specific zyme, I want to see if I'm going to be able to make one that will interact with the DNA in the opposite way, and then if I can observe it breaking it down.
Okay. Roll a science check or tools kit check, your choice, whatever seems applicable, with advantage now that you've got all your ducks in a row.
Gotcha. Also, I forgot to click the advantage thing, so...
Hell yeah. Roll 1d4 because you have guidance on this.
Woo!
27. You now have an excellent understanding. With the microscope, you watch as the different cell structures interact. You are taking like energy levels. You're using your scanner to see the exact process. And by cataloging every single step of the process, you say, okay, this is the point where the RNA deploys in the mitochondria. So all we have to do is adjust the brewing process, either adjust the brewing process or just take those samples, make some genetic edits to it, and go from there. And we might be able to pull this off. You feel very confident that you will be able to manufacture a prototype very, very soon.
Nice.
At this point, the only thing that could really stop you would be some kind of an act of...
Behold, an act of God.
Yeah. That checks out.
major discovery.
Oh, I'm listening.
Roll 1d10, please. 8. Okay. A major discovery of a previously unknown people.
Oh.
No, we're going to work with this. I know exactly where we're going to go with this.
Okay.
And we're going to go into this and how this all works out after this break. Don't go anywhere, folks. Coriander Society Adventures will return.